7 years of silence almost cost me my marriage, but the truth set us both free. I am sitting here feeling like the air has been sucked out of the room, listening to the muffled sounds of Clara packing her bags in the spare bedroom. It is the kind of sound that doesn't belong in our quiet little house, the sound of finality of an ending I have fought against for years, largely by running away from it. I needed to get this out because if I tell anyone in real life, it becomes real in a way I am not sure I can survive. Clara and I have been married for 7 incredible, agonizing years. We met in college. She was sunshine personified, bright, articulate, and completely fearless. I was and still am reserved, a little too focused on financial stability and prone to internalizing everything. Everyone always said we balanced each other out perfectly. For a long time, we did, but about 3 years ago, the foundation started to crumble, and it was entirely my fault. It wasn't infidelity or lack of love. God, I still love her more than anything in this ruined world. It was silence. It was control. It was a secret I have been carrying since before we even bought this house, a secret so massive, so financially and emotionally destructive that I thought sharing it would destroy her love for me instantly. So I hid it. I buried it under layers of work, overtime shifts, and a bizarre obsessive focus on maximizing every single penny we earned, while simultaneously refusing to let her see the books. The immediate conflict right now centers around my job. I'm a senior project manager at an engineering firm. It's demanding 60 to 70 hours a week, and it pays well, too well maybe considering the cost to my soul. Clara kept asking me to slow down. She started pleading, then demanding that we take a vacation, that I be present for dinner more than twice a week, that I stop checking email at 11 p.m. I always had an excuse. We need the cushion, Clara. This project is critical, just 3 more months. It's for our future, honey, I promise. But the cushion was never enough because the hole I was trying to fill was a bottomless pit. She saw my frantic, defensive hoarding of money as a sign that I didn't trust her, or worse, that I was preparing to leave her. She accused me a month ago of having a secret account, of planning a life without her. I vehemently denied it, which was technically true but emotionally a lie. I had a secret, all right, but it was one that defined my life, asterisk with asterisk her, not one that excluded her. Last night was the breaking point. She found a document I foolishly left on my desk, a statement from a specialist clinic detailing a complex, ongoing treatment plan with a balance owing that was truly staggering. We are talking high 6 figures. She came into the office, her face pale, holding the paper like a bomb. "Liam," she whispered. And that whisper was worse than any shout. "What is this? This is more than our mortgage. Who is this for? What is going on?" I froze. I saw 7 years of careful deception evaporating in a single moment. My hands were shaking so hard I couldn't stand up. I should have told her everything then, the whole ugly truth, the reason I was working myself into an early grave. Instead, my fear took over. It's complicated, Clara. It's related to a financial obligation from years ago, a family thing." "A family thing?" she repeated, her voice rising slightly. "A family thing that requires you to work 70 hours a week, miss every holiday, and leave me feeling like a roommate? A family thing you couldn't trust your wife with for 7 years? I thought we were partners. I thought we were the definition of transparency." She started listing all the things we missed, the trip to Italy we postponed, the renovations she wanted to do, the simple pleasure of sitting together on the couch without me being glued to my laptop. She pointed out that every time she tried to discuss our future or our finances, I shut her down with a wall of professionalism and jargon. "You built a castle around yourself, Liam, and you left me outside in the cold," she said, tears finally streaming down her face. "I thought I married someone who valued me, but what I actually married was your exhaustion and your secrets. I can't live like this anymore. I won't." I tried to argue, to rationalize, to tell her that the secret was only designed to protect her from the burden. But my words came out hollow, weak. She just shook her head and walked away, saying she needed space, saying she needed time to figure out if she even knew who I was anymore. That was 12 hours ago. Now I hear the zipper of her suitcase closing. I know I have until she opens that door to tell her the whole truth, the agonizing core of why I became this version of myself. But the fear is paralyzing. I am terrified that if I open that vault, she will finally realize that I am damaged goods, financially ruined, and not the stable rock she thought she married. I need strength I don't possess right now. I just needed to write this down. I'm drowning, and the only person who could save me is the one packing her bags because of my own cowardice. I don't know what happens next. Asterisk, 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 update, 2 weeks later. Thank you, thank you. Thank you to everyone who commented, especially those who were brutally honest about my controlling behavior and financial deception. The common thread in all the replies was simple: the secrecy was worse than the substance of the secret itself. Many of you called me out for hiding behind protection when I was really just prioritizing my pride and control. You were right, I didn't let her leave that night. When she opened the bedroom door, suitcase in hand, I was standing there shaking like a leaf, but I didn't try to stop her physically. I just started talking. I didn't plan it, the words just erupted out of 7 years of confinement. I told her everything. The secret wasn't a family obligation. It was my own history, something that happened 6 months before Clara and I even started dating, something I was deeply ashamed of. 7.5 years ago, I was driving home late one night. I was young, exhausted, and admittedly, I was speeding slightly. I hit a patch of black ice on a curve and hydroplaned directly into a concrete barrier. The accident was catastrophic, not just for the car, but for me. I sustained severe internal injuries and a spinal fracture that required immediate specialized surgery, followed by a year of intensive physical therapy and ongoing expensive treatments for residual nerve damage and chronic pain. The medical bills were astronomical, even with what insurance I had then. The deductibles, copays, and out-of-network specialists totaled well over $1 million. I tried to sue the city over the poorly maintained road, but my speeding was deemed contributory negligence, and I lost the case. The remaining debt, even after selling everything I owned and depleting my tiny savings, was still enormous, around $400,000, not including the ongoing costs of monthly physical therapy and pain management consultations, which are necessary just for me to function without debilitating pain. The shame was multi-layered. I was supposed to be the responsible one, the stable partner. Admitting I was physically damaged, constantly in pain, and financially bankrupt before we even said I do felt impossible. So I created the persona of the high-achieving, financially obsessed workaholic. I needed the big salary to pay down the principal and keep up with the monthly treatments. Every extra hour, every missed dinner, every deferred vacation was an attempt to manage the beast of debt and the constant, dull ache in my back. I internalized the pain, both physical and financial, believing that as long as I kept working, I could keep Clara safe from the disaster that was me. When I finished speaking, the room was silent, save for my ragged breathing. Clara didn't move. She just stared at me, the suitcase hanging loosely from her hand. I expected anger, disgust, or pity. I expected her to confirm my deepest fear, that I was fundamentally broken and unworthy. Instead, she finally spoke. And her voice was dangerously low. "You didn't trust me, Liam. That is what you are saying. You thought I loved your income more than I loved you." I started to cry, then real wrenching sobs. No, that's not it. I thought if you knew how broken I was, how much financial risk I carried, you would leave. I thought I had to earn your love by providing such stability that you wouldn't notice the rot underneath." She dropped the suitcase. It hit the floor with a thud that echoed through the house. "You know what it felt like?" she demanded, her voice rising to a crescendo. "To watch you kill yourself working, pushing me away every time I tried to help. I thought I was the problem. I thought I wasn't enough. I thought you regretted marrying me, that you were trying to find a reason to leave, which is why you were guarding the money so fiercely. Every time I suggested buying something small or taking a weekend trip, and you shut me down with that cold, corporate tone. It chipped away at my self-worth." The argument that followed was brutal. It lasted hours, weaving through every fight we had over the last 3 years. She told me about the nights she cried herself to sleep because she thought I preferred the company of my spreadsheets to her. She detailed the moment she considered calling a divorce lawyer, realizing she had no access to our shared financial picture and how terrifying that felt. "You didn't protect me, Liam," she spat. Wiping away furious tears, "You isolated me." Protection doesn't look like silence. Protection looks like partnership. She was right, every single word. The outcome of that night was not immediate reconciliation. It was raw, exhausting truth, but it wasn't a magic fix. She insisted she still needed space, but instead of leaving entirely, she moved to stay with her sister across town. The one caveat she gave me was this: "I will not make a decision about our future until we are both in therapy, Liam. Not next week, tomorrow." The next day, I contacted 3 therapists recommended by friends. We started couples counseling immediately, and I started individual therapy the day after. The first week of therapy was agony. I spent my sessions dissecting my shame, my belief that financial stability equaled personal worth, and the toxic masculine idea that I had to carry the burden alone. My individual therapist, Dr. Chen, helped me realize that my workaholism wasn't just about debt management. It was a way to avoid dealing with the constant physical discomfort and the emotional trauma of the accident. If I kept moving, I didn't have to feel. Couples counseling with Clara was even harder. We spent sessions retracing the steps of my deception, acknowledging the massive damage my silence had caused her sense of security and trust. She admitted she was terrified that I would suddenly break down, physically or financially, and that she would be left holding the bag without any preparation or knowledge. The emotional neglect was the real wound. The debt was just the tool I used to inflict it. We are now 2 weeks post-confession. We talk on the phone every day, sometimes for hours. We are scheduled for 3 counseling sessions a week. Yesterday, we had a financial meeting. The first truly honest one we have ever had. I laid out every bill, every medical statement, every loan payment. Debt is still massive, but seeing it together, quantified and shared, took away some of its power. Clara, being the brilliant, pragmatic person she is, immediately started formulating a plan. She proposed we look into refinancing some of the medical debt under a lower interest rate, exploring alternative, less expensive physical therapy options, and critically that I transition to a lower stress job, even if it meant a temporary pay cut. "We can live on less, Liam." She told me gently over Zoom, "but we can't live without each other. We built this life together and we will dismantle this debt together, but first you have to let me in." I feel a microscopic shift. The weight isn't gone, but it has been redistributed onto 2 pairs of shoulders instead of one. The anxiety is still there, humming under the surface, but the suffocating fear of discovery has vanished. The next step is applying for new jobs and starting the long, painful process of rebuilding trust. She hasn't moved back home, and she says she won't until she sees concrete, sustained change in my behavior, especially my willingness to prioritize my health and our relationship over the relentless pursuit of paying off a number. It's going to be a long haul. But for the first time in 7 years, I feel a sliver of hope mixed with the profound exhaustion of finally dropping the facade. I will update again when we have a clearer direction. Please send us strength. ****** Final update. 6 months later, I can finally write this update, and I wish I could reach through the screen and hug every single person who told me to fight for her, to stop hiding, and to seek help. This ending is real, it's happy, and it's entirely earned through immense, exhausting work. Clara moved back home 2 months ago, but let me detail the 4 months leading up to that because they were pivotal. ****, the job and the debt. ***, the first major change was the job. Following Clara's insistence and my therapist's strong recommendation, I resigned from the engineering firm. It was terrifying. I lost almost 30% of my income instantly, but the immediate cessation of the 70-hour weeks was like a physical detox. I felt lighter within days. The chronic, low-grade physical pain that had been a permanent fixture in my life seemed to recede somewhat, simply because I wasn't running on pure adrenaline and fear anymore. I found a new role as a consultant, specializing in project management systems for small local firms. It allows me to work from home 3 days a week and caps my hours strictly at 40. The difference in my mental state is unrecognizable. We immediately implemented Clara's aggressive budget plan. We sold my excessively expensive, high-maintenance car and replaced it with a modest, reliable hybrid. We cut back significantly on non-essential spending. And we sat down and looked at the numbers ** together **. Using transparent software that both of us had access to, we realized that while the debt was horrific, it wasn't insurmountable, especially with the reduced stress allowing me to focus on finding smarter payment strategies rather than just grinding out more hours. We managed to consolidate much of the medical debt at a surprisingly low interest rate after contacting a specialist debt counselor. This budgeting process became an unlikely source of intimacy. We spent hours discussing our values, our goals, and what we truly needed to feel secure. Clara took the lead on handling the monthly payments, ensuring I couldn't slip back into the habit of controlling the narrative. The therapy and the healing, we continued couples counseling twice a week for 3 months, then tapered it down to once a week. The core of our work shifted from addressing the betrayal to establishing new communication pathways. I had to learn how to communicate discomfort, not just physical pain, but emotional vulnerability without defaulting to avoidance. One pivotal moment came when I had a flare-up of nerve pain one evening. In the past, I would have hidden in the guest room with painkillers and pretended I was fine, only emerging when the pain was semi-manageable. This time I walked into the living room, leaned against the wall, and simply said, "Clara, I'm hurting badly right now. I need an hour to just lie down and be still. Could you handle dinner?" The shock on her face was evident, but it was quickly replaced by relief. She didn't press for details, she just nodded, brought me a heating pad, and sat beside me for a few minutes before starting dinner. Later, she thanked me, saying, "That's all I ever wanted, Liam, the truth, not the performance." In my individual therapy, I finally addressed the trauma of the accident. I realized I had been treating my body like a defective machine that needed constant financial input to keep running, instead of treating it with compassion and care. I started prioritizing my physical therapy appointments, treating them as mandatory client meetings. I also took up low-impact yoga, which Clara happily joined me for. The return home. 2 months ago, Clara called me. She wasn't aggressive or demanding. She was calm. "I see you, Liam," she said. "I see the effort, the willingness, and the honesty. I miss my home and I miss my husband. I am ready to come back, but we have to promise each other we will never go silent again." I stood there holding the phone, tears blurring my vision. "I promise, Clara, I swear to you I will never choose silence over partnership again." When she walked through the door, it wasn't a dramatic Hollywood reunion, it was quiet, solid, and real. We hugged for a long time, the kind of hug that says we made it through the fire. Where we are now, the happy ending. 6 months out from the confession, our relationship is stronger than it has ever been, precisely because we shattered the illusion of perfection. We are a team built on vulnerability, not pretense. The financial pressure is still real, we are still chipping away at that massive debt, estimating another 2 to 3 years of focused effort, but it doesn't control us anymore. It's a project we manage together. Not a secret burden I carry alone. We have monthly debt dates where we review the figures, celebrate small victories, and adjust the budget. We finally took that trip to Italy, albeit a much more budgeted version. We rented a tiny, beautiful Airbnb on the Amalfi Coast for a week. We didn't check work emails. We just sat on the patio, drinking cheap wine, talking about anything and everything, and holding hands. It was the most romantic and fulfilling vacation of our lives, because we were fully with each other. The greatest triumph isn't the finances or the travel, though, it's the renewed intimacy. We talk about hard things without fear, we check in on each other's physical and emotional health daily. When I have a rough day with pain, Clara knows immediately, and instead of demanding I push through, she creates space for me to rest. When she feels overwhelmed by the constant focus on finances, I step up and handle the budgeting duties for a week, giving her a break. We are actively discussing starting a family now, a conversation I shut down for years because I felt I couldn't afford the financial burden. Now we approach it as a shared goal, knowing that parenthood will be hard, but our partnership is resilient enough to handle it. I lost 7 years to silence and fear, but confronting the truth saved my marriage and truthfully saved my life. The shame is gone, replaced by a deep gratitude for the woman who saw past my defenses and demanded that I show her the real me, damaged, financially strained, but finally truly present. We are imperfect, but we are absolutely unequivocally happy.